So when the 1970s Italian crime film Roma a mano armata sells to most English-language territories around the world, it's dubbed and retitled into English as The Tough Ones. But when it's bought by a certain American distributor, that's not good enough. So let's give it a new title, Brutal Justice. Let's give it a tagline that ties it into Dirty Harry. Let's throw in some New York landmarks on the poster, even though it's set in Rome. And let's shoot some inserts as a half-hearted attempt at making it vaguely more Americanized, even though there's European cars and architecture all over the place. And then, when the film isn't a particular hit, let's take the Patrick Woodroffe painting of a ghoulish skeleton cop that's been adorning book and magazine posters during the 1970s. Let's adapt that image for our own poster. Let's retitle the film Assault with a Deadly Weapon. Let's change the name of our star and director a second time, and let's push this 1970s film onto theater screens into the 1980s. Yeah, anything is possible when you're unspooling with Aquarius Releasing. The 1970s was a golden age of North American B-movie distributors, like American International Pictures, Independent International, Crown International Pictures, Joseph Brenner Associates, New World Pictures, Dimension Pictures, Film Ventures International. I could go on and on. But for whatever reason, the one that always intrigued me was Aquarius Releasing. Yeah, sure, they dabbled in sci-fi and horror. After all, they were the New York distributor for John Carpenter's original Halloween, for goodness sake. And they were the one that drove a Butcher mobile around Manhattan in order to promote a fright film called Dr. Butcher, MD. But Aquarius seemed to concentrate more on action, whether it was importing Eurocrime films, importing Kung Fu movies, or handling blaxploitation. And maybe that's why they caught my attention. I'm tough guy film expert Mike Malloy, and I've worked in various projects with two people that had inside knowledge of Aquarius: action star Fred Williamson and martial artist Ron Van Cleef. So I messaged both of them to get a quick reaction from each on Aquarius. Fred said, Aquarius Releasing was by far the best company for the so-called black films in the 70s and the 80s. They treated these as important films for the film audience, as they should. It filled a void of the majors at the time. Hollywood needed this boost based on their big-budget films that were box office failures. All of the Aquarius releases, based on their costs and profitable returns, were a success. Hail Aquarius. Well, that's interesting, because when we think of blaxploitation films, unless we're talking a big studio movie like Shaft, we think of a company called American International Pictures, who made and distributed films like Slaughter, Coffee, Hell Up in Harlem, or Black Caesar. And hell, those last two films starred Fred Williamson, and yet he said he felt Aquarius was the best distributor for this genre. So that's interesting. And Ron Van Cleef had this to say about the founder and president of Aquarius, a guy named Terry Levine. Terry is a great friend and confidant. He mentored me throughout my career. Only positive things to say about him. He is indeed one of the great innovators in cinema production and distribution. Well, that's interesting. So Terry Levine was a good guy, huh? Well, that's great to hear, and I don't doubt Ron's estimation, but it's totally contrary to our preconceived typical image of a film distributor. Because let's be frank, the stereotype of a film distributor is of some slimy businessman who swindles filmmakers saying, "Sorry kid, your picture made no money, so I got no royalties for you." So let's take a closer look at what this Aquarius releasing was all about.